Hello students, welcome once again to our channel physidive, and this is your teacher alexirajan. So today we are going to study a very important topic on errors, how we can mathematically explain the errors and what are the different types of errors and how we can solve it using mathematical or problems. So let's dive in straight to the class. So let's move. Just imagine that you're doing one experiment and you are taking a set of readings. Say your readings are x1, x2, x3. Okay, I'm just taking three sets of reading x1, x2, and x3. And in order to get the true value, then what you will do is that you will take the average of all these values x2 x plus x3 and divided by 3, then you will get the true value, that is this one, right? Now a very important thing, errors means we have seen in the last set how much the each set is deviated from the true value give you the errors in that particular value. Then here comes the next word, that is absolute error. So absolute error means the difference between the true value and the reading. Here in this example, I have just taken x1, x2 and x3. If for more precisely, I will say x1, x2, x3 and xn readings if I have taken n readings there. Now, what do you mean by this absolute error? Absolute error means the difference between the true value and the observed values of a physical quantity, and we call it as what? The absolute error. So denoted by delta x. For example, in this case, delta x1, which means that x bar minus x1. Delta x2 means x bar minus x2. Delta x3 means x bar minus x3. Especially note that this absolute error can be positive or negative. If the observed value is more than the true value, then according to the equation it will be negative. If the observed value is less than the true value, then according to these equations, then definitely we can say it is positive. So it can be positive or negative. But if I am taking the magnitude, then this will be positive only. So I'm saying that the absolute error of the first reading is delta x1, which will be equal to the first term, that is this one. In the second, delta x2 is this one. Delta x3 is this one. So we are getting a set of errors and we call it as what? Absolute error. Here also what we are going to do is that we will just inculcate all these absolute errors and we will take the mean. So we get another term, that is mean absolute error. So how can I explain mean absolute error? In absolute error, we got three sets according to the examples which we had taken. For example, I am saying I had taken n set of readings, or I got n absolute errors. Then delta x1, delta x2, delta x3 up to delta xn are my absolute errors for n readings. Then the mean absolute error means delta x bar, which is equal to delta x1 plus delta x2 up to delta xn by the total reading, that is n, because I had taken n readings, so divide by n. Then I will get a very important term, that is mean absolute error. So this is about mean absolute error. If some questions is asked in the exam, that is find out the mean absolute error, then you will be given set of readings, and then you need to find out the absolute errors of each reading, and then first you want to find out the true value, then find out the absolute error of each reading, and then you take the mean, then you will get what? Then you will get the mean absolute error. Now a very important term is coming again, that is relative error. So relative error means it is a ratio of this mean absolute error to the true value. So it is a ratio of mean absolute error to the true value, or the average. If I had taken n set of readings for that particular experiment, then I will take the average, then I will get the true value, then After finding out the mean absolute error, then I'll just take the ratio of that mean absolute error to the true value. Then I'll get what? Relative error. So I can say that I think this much relative error is there. If a question is asked relative error, then you need to find out from the beginning. That is, first you have to find out the true value, then you need to find out the average absolute error, and then you need to find out mean absolute error, and then you need to find out the relative absolute error. So if a question is asked relative, find out the relative error, then you will think that okay, the question is very small, so it's very easy. No, because if a question is asked for relative error, you need to find out this much steps are there, right? So you need to find out this much terms, and then only you will come across this relative error. So this is the chance of asking this relative error is very high for your exam. Now another term, that is percentage relative error or simply percentage error. This will be the step. That is, percentage error means relative error into 100. Now we are going to find out how we can find out the errors in case of combination. In case of combination means if two values are there, you need to add two values. Then what about the errors there? If two values are there, then you need to, these values should be of same physical quantities. That means I need to add two. For example, I'm saying that I need to add two length. Okay, two lengths are given to you. I need to add two lengths, and errors are also given there for individually. So what about the combined case? If I add, what will happen to the errors there? This we'll study right now in the next session. In the case of combination, first in addition case, how will I find out the combined error? For example, if I have A plus delta A, this is one physical quantity, another quantity is B plus delta B, then A plus B is equal to Z. Then the combined error, that is delta Z, is given by the sum of the individual errors, that is delta A plus delta B, where delta A is the error of first physical quantity, delta B is the error of the second physical quantity. This is about addition. So simply you add and then add the errors individually, and you will get what? The combined error, delta Z or delta Z. Now in the case of subtraction, the same way. In the case of addition, you add both the errors and you get the answer. So obviously in subtraction, you will just subtract and you will get the error. Is it so? No. Here comes the issue. So there is a chance of making mistake here, errors in your exam. How? You will think that in addition, both errors are added and you will get the combined error. So in subtraction, it will be subtraction, but it is not subtraction. Here also, you need to add the individual errors. For example, if a length is there, that is 21 plus or minus 0.3 and 5 plus or minus 0.4. Let this be A and let this be B. This is the case. Now, what will be the subtraction? So, subtraction Z plus delta Z will be 21 minus 5. 21 minus 5, it will be what? 16, right? It is 16, right? Yes. So, 16 plus 5 is 21. So, here plus or minus. Don't subtract this 0.3 and 0.4. Simply add. We are adding the absolute errors of individual readings, that is plus 0.3 plus 0.4, that is 0.7. This will be the answer. So don't make mistakes here. So what happens in the case of multiplication? So you have two readings, say A plus delta A and B plus delta B. This is the case, right? Now, what will be delta Z here, or the combined error here? The combined error will be equal to the sum of relative errors of the individual reading, that is delta A by A and here delta B by B. This will be the answer for delta Z. In the case of division also, delta Z will be equal to delta A by A plus delta B by B. In both cases, the combined error will be equal to the sum of the relative errors of the individual readings. So this is about the combined errors, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication as well as division. In the case of addition and subtraction, you will just take the absolute, the sum of absolute errors, whereas in the case of multiplication and division, you will take the sum of relative errors of the individual readings. So these are the combined or the combined error cases. So that's all about today's class, and we will come with new topics, that is the significant numbers, significant digits, and that will be in the coming sessions, coming classes. So that's it, and we need your support. Like, share and subscribe. You are our strength. So study well, keep tuning. So that's it. Goodbye. Thank you.